Greetings my chess friends, my name is Robbie, and I'd like to bring you a very short little game I played recently on a correspondence chess website, timeforchess.com, and it highlights an opening system that I love to play myself, often maligned Colle opening. Now, I love the Colle. I have played all sorts of things during my time of learning chess. I've played f4, I've played the English c4, I've played e4, and I've played d4, and time and again I've always come back to the Colle opening because of its solidity and its opportunity for creativity. Now, there is an opinion that the Colle opening is boring and drawish. I can tell you right now, I have never had a boring game with the Colle system. It's, as far as I am concerned, a much maligned opening. Other criticisms are that it is not played at Grandmaster level. Well, anyone here a Grandmaster? No, I didn't think so. So let's look at this little game. I've played this chap before and he in fact beat me, but in this I get my revenge. So I open with d4, d5, knight f3, knight f6, and here I play e3, signalling that I'm going to play my beloved system, the Colle system. And here my opponent played somewhat unusually. He played bishop to g4. It's important when you play the Colle system to understand when that you can apply it and when you need to abandon it for something a little more dynamic. And when you get sharp moves like this, then you need to of course reply in kind. And the normal opening system of the Colle with knight to d2 or c3, it's simply not dynamic enough for this type of position, and therefore I abandoned it and played c4 instead. And the idea is simply, I'm going to play my queen here, I'm going to put my knight here. Because this bishop have listed post on c8, I'm going to put pressure on these queenside light squares. This is my idea. My opponent played e6. I began my plan with queen to b3. Again, putting pressure on these light squares. And my opponent, rather than move his pawn forward and create some weaknesses in his structure, chose a somewhat passive choice of queen to c8. Knight to e5, asking this bishop what it is doing on g4. And the normal move is bishop to f5, and here my opponent played somewhat unusually with bishop to h5. I continue with my idea. D takes c4, and I get to develop my bishop with tempo. Knight to d7, I cancelled. Bishop to d6, and here I cement my bishop on f4, sorry, e5, with the move f4. c6 was played, and here I had some ideas of sacking my bishop on e6, but it's not entirely sound, because if I take and he retakes and I take with my queen, he always has this move bishop back to e7, and I've lost a piece for basically no compensation. So I just continued solidly playing the move e4 in the centre. And of course my idea is to move this knight and fork the bishop and the knight. Knight to b6. I'm uninterested in exchanging off pieces. And this was a decisive mistake here. This fork is in there. And here my opponent simply blunders this bishop. I take the bishop off, he's forced to recapture, and I get to fork his bishop and his knight. And from now on, it's very, very difficult for black. He's down a piece with absolutely no compensation for that piece and no real prospects of attacking my position. a5. Of course, I'm happy to exchange pieces because I'm a piece up. Of course, we're trying to open up lines against the king, therefore we take en passant. b5. It's interesting that these pawns and this stone wall formation look strong, but they're in fact quite weak. And I conceive of a plan of how to undermine these pawns. This bishop will reroute itself to b3, where I will take this, and when black recaptures I'll have a fork, forking his king and his rook, and I will get my piece back with interest. So that's in fact what transpired. My opponent never actually saw this cunning plan. And here it is here. And my opponent in fact resigned after this. So very, very interesting game for me. I love this little opening system. It looks at the outset very placid and very unassuming, very unambitious, but I've yet to have a boring game in the Colle system. It's always led itself to good active piece play, and the strategic and positional and tactical ideas are very, very good for me, and I like it very much for that. So thank you very much for looking at this little chess video. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly enjoyed the game, and I thank you for taking the time. Bye bye.